Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, also known as the richest man on the planet, endorsed Biden's infrastructure plan, saying, quote, "Both Democrats and Republicans have supported infrastructure in the past, and it's the right time to work together to make this happen," adding significantly that Amazon is supportive of a rise in the corporate tax rate to help to pay for that investment.
Got it. Editor-in-chief at The Real News, host of the Working People podcast, Max Alvarez, and senior congressional correspondent for The Daily Caller, Henry Rogers, back with us to discuss. Max, I've been railing about this annoying debate on the show now for weeks because, as I always say, the corporate tax rate doesn't matter when so many people don't pay corporate taxes. And the clearest indication that a corporate tax rate is bullshit is if the largest corporation in America is going to come out and say, oh, yeah, we 100% support it. Why wouldn't we?
Not an issue.
Right. I try to be as nuanced as I can with my political analysis, but I think that it's safe to say if Jeff Bezos likes something, I'm immediately suspicious of it.
Right? As you should be.
We all have good reason to be, right? I mean, this man is the embodiment. I mean, he's a living Lex Luthor who was never going to advocate for something unless it benefits him and his mission for Amazon, which, as we know and as we've seen over the years, is for Amazon to take over the world, right? For Amazon to absorb as much of the economy into itself and control as much of the infrastructure of political, economic, and cultural life in this country and beyond, right? He has designs of world domination. He's made that very clear, right? And so when I see Jeff Bezos kind of coming out in support of this, you know, I start wondering, okay, what sort of incentives, you know, like, does he see in this? I think that you pointed out perfectly, Sagar, the elephant in the room, which is that it really doesn't mean a whole lot for Jeff Bezos to say he's in favor of corporate kind of tax hikes when Amazon is not only not paying taxes, you know, but they're actually getting money back because of all the kind of tax breaks and loopholes that they're able to give. Like, they're just gobbling up more and more money. And the thing that I wanted to kind of underscore for people watching is that Amazon is as we've talked about when we talked about the Bessemer Union Drive, this is not just an e-commerce giant, right? Amazon is really trying to have a stranglehold on the digital infrastructure of cloud storage upon which so much of our economy depends. They are, you know, really trying to kind of control, I think, global infrastructure. You know, like, people freak out when China's like building roads in Africa. No one freaks out that Amazon is trying to gobble up the digital infrastructure in Europe and North America and beyond.
Very well put.
Well put.
In a way, he kind of gives up the game here because just like Max was saying, Henry, you're like, as soon as he comes out in favor of it, you're like, wait a second, why? And it's not just that the corporate tax rate, the corporate tax rate is basically irrelevant to him because Amazon doesn't pay it anyway because all the loopholes are staying in place, so he feels fine with that, doesn't really care. But they also directly benefit from if there is an upgrade of the nation's roads and bridges, which again shows you that, hey, since you're sort of disproportionately benefiting from these things, maybe you ought to be paying something to chip in to help out to fund it.
Exactly right. And that's what, you know, Sagar was completely right. It's BS. This is all BS. And so is Max. I mean, whenever I see Jeff Bezos say something, I obviously go the opposite route there. This was just, you know, absolutely. It's just like he's gaslighting America here. It's just, you know, it's unbelievably funny that he says, oh, you know, I'm in favor and in support of this piece of legislation, which, like you said, Crystal, which will benefit me substantially, but I won't have to pay $1 for. It's like, of course you will, man. Of course you're going to be in favor for that. So I just think it's ridiculous. It's not crazy or surprising to me, but it's just a sham.
Right. And Max, what really bothers me here, which is that in this entire conversation around taxes, which is that the Democratic majority leader in the United States Senate is Chuck Schumer, who has ruled out capital gains taxes, financial transactions taxes, and more, which is, if you wanted to pay for this thing, especially the people who are going to disproportionately benefit, Bezos would quite literally be at the top of the list, both as the world's richest man and the person most likely in America to benefit from a physical upgrade of American infrastructure. But under the current structure, he would not pay anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like this is really going to kind of be the deciding factor of whether or not this kind of plan to, because I think, you know, something that Crystal has been kind of talking about a lot of late, right, is that it is surprising that the Joe Biden administration has not followed the path that we've been accustomed to, which is to kind of try to be fiscally responsible and to do so by cutting kind of social programs. Instead, they are focusing on taxation, which is what we should be focusing on in a lot of ways. But are they going to actually give that teeth? Is that all going to just be more kind of gestural politics that amount to very little, and that just kind of, you know, I don't know, sound nice, but really don't kind of compel companies like Amazon to pay not even their fair share? Because for Amazon to pay its fair share is almost inconceivable at this point. But to pay a share is pretty much like what we're talking about at this point. Yeah. And right now, when it comes to the Democratic leadership, I'm still not convinced that they're actually going to be prepared to go to the mat with people like Bezos when it comes to giving these policies that sort of teeth. And that worries me. This worries me what Bezos is saying, because this is the kind of thing that gig companies, that companies like Amazon, that all sorts of companies always try to kind of jump in on so that they can affect the legislation and the policy and direct funds towards them, direct the unfolding of this policy in a way that benefits their business model, not necessarily the American people. So I'm very wary of how this can unfold.
Bezos clearly feels this is a nothing will fundamentally change bill. And that's incredibly important for us all to take note of. Gentlemen, so great to see both of you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Speaking of which, next on Rising, Alec McGillis. He's going to update us on where Amazon union vote stands and the significance of that when Rising continues.